explain. I just move. I don't explain my intentions. You just feel when I decide. No warnings, no confessions, just silence before the tide. I walk in, room goes quiet. Not a word, but they comply. No need to raise my voice. I let the pressure multiply. They watch me like a question I never answered twice. You can read it in my eyes, but you won't read it right. No wasted breath, no second guess. You either know or you don't. I don't explain my intention. You just feel when I decide. No warnings, no confessions, just silence before the tide. I don't explain my intentions. I don't need you on my side. By the time you start to question, I've already crossed the line. I don't argue, I adjust and I cut without a sound. You were looking for a reason, I was already moving out. No speeches, no emotions, no closure left behind. You call it cold and ruthless, I call it state of mind. You think silence means weakness, that's your first mistake. Every move already planned, every risk already paid. I don't chase, I don't prove, I don't ask, I don't lose. By the time you see the pattern, it's too late to make a move. I don't explain my intention. I don't give you any sign. No shadows, no reflections, just the end you didn't find. I don't explain my intentions. That's the reason I survive. You were waiting for a warning. I was already gone that night. No words, no trace, just decisions you never saw coming. cold side of the floor. No one waiting, no one knocking at my door. I poured the whiskey slow, watched the amber fall, built my empire quiet back against the wall. I don't scream when it burns, I don't beg when it breaks. I just swallow the fire and I carry the weight. Every scar on my hands tells a story no one heard. Every night I bled in silence, never spoke a single word. I turn the pain into power, I turn the ash into gold. I walk through the darkest hour with a fire no one knows. I don't need you to see me right, I don't need you to understand. I just move in silence like a broken Iron Man. The devil came and sat across from me one night. Said, boy, you look like someone who's been losing every fight. I smiled and poured him whiskey, looked him in the eye, said the difference between me and you is I never said goodbye. I don't crumble when they leave, I don't shatter when they lie. I just rebuild in the darkness while the weak ones wonder why. Every road I walked alone, every bridge I burned across, every king who built a throne knows the price of every loss. I turn the pain into power, I turn the ash into gold. I walk through the darkest hour with a fire no one knows. I don't need you to see me rise, I don't need you to understand. I just move in silence like a broken Iron Man. Some men talk about their wound, I just let mine work. Some men need the crowd to see them, I just do the work. The smoke, the road, the empty glass, the weight I never show. I am the sum of every scar and I will never fold. I've been down where the light don't reach the ground. I've been so far gone, I couldn't hear a sound. But something in my chest kept burning like an ember, something iron in my blood. I still remember. So I rose without a word, So I walked without a map. So I turned my broken pieces into something they can't crack. I turn the pain into power. I turn the ash into gold. I walk through the darkest hour with a fire no one knows. I don't need you to see me rise. I don't need you to understand. I just move in silence like a broken Iron Man. Move in silence, let the fire speak. Every king walks alone, every scar runs deep. I don't need the world to know my name. I just need to know my own. Never had to say a word to make a room go cold. My silence has a temperature that nobody has to be told. It enters 3 steps before me, sits down before I do. By the time I pour the whiskey, every man knows what is true. I watch strong men recalibrate the moment that I pause, not from anything I said to them, but everything I wasn't. The absence of my anger is the loudest thing I own. A man who doesn't threaten has a thunder all his own. My silence is a weapon that no one can disarm. You can't negotiate with nothing, can't prepare against the calm. Every word I do not say to you lands harder than a blow. The most dangerous thing in any room is what I didn't show. My silence is a sentence already signed and sealed, the thread that needs no voice to carry it, before it's real. silence has a body. It stands beside me, dressed in black. It doesn't speak, it doesn't gesture, it simply does not look back. Every room we've ever entered filed its shape into the wall. My silence is the tallest thing about me, and I'm already tall. They came with words prepared like weapons, speeches sharpened overnight. I gave them 7 seconds of my stillness and watched them lose the fight. Because noise requires an opponent, silence requires nothing at all. The man who answers everything with quiet never has to watch them fall, he just watches them decide to fall alone. I didn't build this as a strategy. It grew the way scar tissue grows over every time I spoke too soon and gave away what no one knows. My silence is the weapon that no one can disarm. You can't negotiate with nothing, can't prepare against the calm. Every word I do not say to you lands harder than a blow. The most dangerous thing in any room is what I didn't show. My silence is a sentence already signed and sealed, the thread that needs no voice to carry it, the wound before it's real. In the dream, my silence has a hunger. It walks the perimeter of every conversation, tasting what is said, filing what is hidden, recording every desperation. I've sat across from men who needed me to react, who needed my noise to validate their own, and I gave them the one gift that broke them completely. I gave them the sound of being alone. Because silence aimed deliberately is not peace. It is pressure applied without a fingerprint. It is a space where fear does all the work for me. It is a room before the verdict where the guilty man sits perfectly still and hears absolutely everything in the nothing give him. My dog learned early not to bark when I go quiet like this. He reads the shift in atmosphere, knows what the stillness is. We move through rooms together like weather moving through a field. Two forces that announce themselves by what they don't reveal. So pour the glass in silence, let the night lean in to hear. The most dangerous man alive, brother, is the one who disappears into the quiet, into the dark. Stop explaining myself a long time ago. Stop waiting for the room to understand the way I move so slow. Every morning looks the same. Same booth, same road, same sky. I don't ask where it's taking me, I just keep moving by. No complaints on my lips, no defense in my hands. Just the world laid before me and the will to withstand. I don't need them to see it, I don't need them to know. The only proof that matters is the fruit of what I grow. Not loud, not fast, not burning bright for show. Just one more day of doing what I promised long ago. I don't complain, I don't explain, I just put my head down and I do it again. Same hours, same hunger, same road in the rain. Success don't come looking, you gon' find it again. Every day, every dawn, every quiet begin. I don't stop, I don't fold, I just do it again. Yeah. Every no place like a man who knows exactly where he's going. There are men who talk about the mountain, men who photograph the view, men who write about the climbing, but they never follow through. And then there's men who disappear into the early morning gray. No announcement, no applause, just accountable to the day. I have failed more times than I have won, that's the honest truth. But failure never stopped me like it stopped me in my youth. I just filed it as a lesson, shook the dust off of my knees, and went back to the beginning with a little more expertise. Not brilliant, not chosen, not lucky from the start, just a man who kept his promise to the calling in his heart. I don't complain, I don't explain, I just put my head down and I do it again. Same hour, same hunger, same road in the rain. Success don't come looking, you gon' find it again. Every day, every dawn, every quiet begin. I don't stop, I don't fold, I just do it again. The world will try to sell you a faster, easier way, some secret, some shortcut, some formula to say. But the men who built their lives on something real and true never bought the shortcut, they just did what they had to do. One more page, one more mile, one more set, one more try, one more dawn, one more choice, one more day, one more voice, saying quietly to no one, saying quietly to all. The only way to rise, brother, is to answer every call. I don't complain, I don't explain, I watch the others talking while I'm out in the rain. Same hour, same hunger, same road, same refrain. Success is just a shadow of the man who remains. Every day, every dawn, every silent campaign. I don't stop, I don't fold, I just do it again. And again. And again. sees the Tuesday, nobody sees a gray Wednesday, nobody sees the Thursday when you had every reason to stop, but you didn't. That's not talent, that's not luck, that's just a man who kept going. Keep going, keep going. You can't stop the rain from falling, you can't hold the sun in place, you can't fix the world around you, you can't win every single race. But before you curse the weather, before you blame the road, tell me honestly and slowly, have you handled what you owe? Is your mind in order, brother? Is your body standing straight? Is the fire in you burning? Or did you let it sit and wait? You point your finger outward at everything that's wrong, but the house you're standing inside of has been broken far too long. You don't control the storm, you never did, you never will. But what about the ground beneath your feet? Is that ground still? Control what is yours, leave the rest alone. Sweep your own front porch before you judge another's home. You can't move the mountain, but you can move yourself. What's the point of knowing wisdom if it's just sitting on a shelf? Control what is yours, or it controls you. Is your word still worth the giving? Is your promise still intact? When you say that you'll be somewhere, brother, do you show her back? Is your body getting stronger, or you feeding it your fears? Are you reading, are you learning, or just drowning in the years? I'm not here to judge your journey, I've stumbled on my own, but the man who blames the darkness is a man who won't come home. So before the next complaint leaves from that mouth of yours tonight, ask yourself in honest silence, have I done what's in my right? You don't control the hands that others choose to play, but what about the hand you're holding? What did you do today? Control what is yours, leave the rest alone. Sweep your own front porch before you judge another's home. You can't move the mountain, but you can move yourself. What's the point of knowing wisdom if it's just sitting on a shelf? Control what is yours, or it controls you. There is a certain kind of man who spends his whole life watching what the others do, watching what the world is watching. And there's another kind of man who wakes before the dawn, looks himself dead in the mirror, and that's what must be done. He doesn't need the world to change, he already started. He doesn't need permission, he's been working since he started. His room is clean, his word is kept, his body is his temple, his mind is not for rent. Yeah. That man doesn't control everything, but everything he controls is handle. Control what is yours, that's where power lives. Not in what the world owes you, but in everything you give. You can't stop the storm from coming, but you can stand prepared. A gentleman controls himself, and everything is there. Control what is yours every single day. Control what is yours and watch it all change. Yes. Your body, your word, your mind, your home, your habit, your silence. Is it all in order, brother? Because that is the only kingdom that was ever yours to rule. To rule. I don't wear my wounds on my sleeve, I carry them deep where no one can see. The devil sat down at my table one night, said, boy, you look tired, let me show you the light. I poured him a glass, let him say what he said. Then I walked out alone with his words in my head. I don't scream, I don't beg, I don't break. Every scar that I carry is a choice that I made. Iron in my bloodline, gravel in my soul. I was born in the fire, came out whole. I'm moving silence through the smoke and the rain. A gentleman bleeds, but he won't speak his pain. The night is my witness, the whiskey my friend. I walk this road alone until the very end. No crown on my head, no applause in the dark, just the weight of my silence and the blues in my heart. Never told me that the strong ones fall too, that the quietest voices carry the heaviest truth. I burn through my seasons, I've outlived my goals. I raise my glass slowly to the ones I love most. The city don't know me, the streets don't speak, but every empty mile has made me complete. I don't scream, I don't beg, I don't fold. There are stories in my silence that will never be told. Ashes to iron, from dust I was made. I cast no long shadow, I walk unafraid. Silence through the smoke and the rain. A gentleman bleeds, but he won't speak his pain. The night is my witness, the whiskey my friend. I walk this road alone until the very end. No crown on my head, no applause in the dark, just the weight of my silence and the blues in my heart. Every king walks alone, that's the price of the throne. Every fire burns cold when you've built it alone. I don't need your applause, I don't need your eyes. I need the open road and the open skies. The devil still calls me from time to time. I let the blues answer that silence is mine. There are men who are loud and men who endure. I chose the long silence, I chose something pure. I built my cathedral from rubble and rain. I carved out my name in the side of my pain. No one will sing this, no one will know, but somewhere a gentleman knows as I go. Silence through the smoke and the rain. A gentleman bleeds, but he won't speak his pain. The night is my witness, the whiskey my friend. I walk this road alone until the very end. No crown on my head, no applause in the dark, just the weight of my silence and the blues in my heart. Keeps falling, and I keep walking through the smoke, through the dark, through the years. A gentleman remains silent, always silent. laid everything I had upon the table. Every truth I owned, every scar I was able. I gave the best of me without a second thought, and learned that some things can't be bought. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't break the glass. I just looked around and knew that some things aren't meant to last. Not every door deserves a knock twice. Not every cold room deserves the sacrifice. So I tip my hat and I take my leave. No anger in my chest, no sorrow on my sleeve. A gentleman knows when the giving is done. He don't chase the rain, he just walks toward the sun. This ain't defeat, this is dignity. I offered all I had, now I'm finally free. There's a certain kind of peace in releasing what won't hold, and folding up your heart and stepping out into the cold. Not because you're empty, but because you're full of a quiet understanding that you know your own soul. Some men stay and lose themselves, some men leave and find their way. Chose the one that cost me more, I chose to walk away. So I tip my hat and I take my leave. No anger in my chest, no sorrow on my sleeve. A gentleman knows when the giving is done. He don't chase the rain, he just walks toward the sun. This ain't defeat, this is dignity. I offered all I had, now I'm finally free. The greatest thing a man can do is know his own worth. Not from pride, but from everything he survived on this earth. When what you give is never enough for them, it's always enough for you. So I tip my hat and I take my leave. The blues in my pocket, the night on my sleeve. A gentleman knows when the giving is done. Not chasing the rain, just walking toward the sun. This ain't the end, this is dignity. I offered all I was, now I'm finally free. Sometimes the bravest thing is a quiet goodbye. No I walked into the room and counted everything before I took my seat. The exits and the liars and the wolves beneath the greed. I read the hand before the card was played. I read the eye before the lie was made. They thought I wasn't paying attention. I was paying for everything with silence as my trade. I have a gift that looks like distance, looks like absence, looks like fraud. But every word that passed that table, I collected what it cost. I see the thing behind the thing. I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of the room whose name is never heard. But nothing moves without me knowing. Nothing shifts without my read. I don't speak because I'm empty. I don't speak because I feel. On silence, on the watching, on the space between the sound. The man who says the least in any room is the one who runs the ground. They always underestimate the quiet ones. That's the oldest tax they pay. They talk around me like I'm furniture, like I'm somewhere far away. And I let them, God, I let them. Let them fill the room with noise. 'Cause every word a man speaks carelessly is a tool that I employ. Not a word without a reason, not a sentence without weight. Every time I open up my mouth, it's already far too late for whoever I was watching. I see the thing behind the thing. I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of the room whose name is never heard. But nothing moves without me knowing. Nothing shifts without my read. I don't speak because I'm empty. I don't speak because I feel. On silence, on the watching, on the space between the sound. The man who says the least in any room is the one who runs the ground. In the dream I made entirely of windows. Every wall in me is glass. I watched a man lose everything in real time across a dinner table set for 8. He didn't know I saw the moment when the damage became fate. I said nothing, drank my whiskey, watched the whole thing come to pass. Some rooms are burning long before the fire. I just recognized a gap. I have built entire maps of people, from the way they hold a glass, from the pause before the answer. From the questions that they pass, the world is always speaking to the ones who don't reply. My dog and I sit at the window late when all the city dims. He watches what moves in the darkness, I watch what moves in them. We don't discuss our observations, we just sit inside the silence, like two scholars in their coats. So pour the last one, face the window, let the city be the page. The man who watches everything and speaks once is the wisest man on stage. I see the thing behind the thing, I hear the word behind the word. I am the man at the back of a room whose name is never heard. But nothing moves without me knowing, nothing shifts without my reading. I don't speak because I'm empty, I don't speak because I feel. On silence, on the watching, on the space between the sound. The man who says the least in any room is the one who runs the ground. I already knew before you said it, I already saw before you did it. Always watching.
I watched the hunger and I named it, then I buried it alive. I watched the rage come up the staircase, looked it in the eye, said not tonight, said not ever, said you don't live here anymore. Then I locked the door, then I swallowed the key, and I walked across the floor. I have killed every version of myself that wanted without reason, every craving, every weakness, every inappropriate season. They didn't die without a fight. They screamed, they begged, they burned, but the mind was already the landlord, and the body had to learn. I don't react, I don't collapse, I don't chase what the body asks. When the fire rises up in me, I watch it, I name it, I let it be. Then I choose, then I move, then I leave it where it stood. The animal is still alive in me. I'm just the one who understood. side. I call it the highest architecture a man can build in his own mind. Every impulse is a test, every craving is a door, and behind every door I've mastered is a room I own once more. I have sat with every demon at the table eye to eye. Didn't flinch, didn't feed them, didn't ask them how or why. Just observed them like a general, reading maps before the dawn. By the time they thought they had me, I was already gone. They say the flesh is powerful, I say the mind is more. The man who rules his inner kingdom never loses any war. I don't react, I don't collapse, I don't chase what the body asks. When the fire rises up in me, I watch it, I name it, I let it be. Then I choose, then I move, then I leave it where it stood. The animal is still alive in me. I'm just the one who understood. In the dream I am a room with no windows. In the dream every wall is a decision I made. In the dream the animal comes to the table, sits across from me, puts its hands on the blade. And I pour 2 glasses, one for what I want, one for what I'll do. I drink mine slow, I watch the other glass until the warning passes through. Because discipline is not the absence of desire, it is desire on its knees. It is the fire that learned to heat the room without burning down the trees. It is the most violent thing a man can do to himself. Done quietly, done daily, done alone, with no one watching and no trophy on the shelf. This is the monastery of one. These are the vows no church ordained. This is the altar built from every morning I rose before the warning came. I am the monk and I am the silence, I am the rule and I am the cell. I am the man who mastered every heaven by learning how to master every hell. So when you see me still and steady, when you wonder where the edges went, know that nothing here is missing. Everything was deliberate and spent. Every softness was examined. Every sharpness was refined. You are not seeing a man without a fire. You are seeing fire. I didn't call to tell you why I left. I didn't write to make you understand. Some men spend their whole lives in apology. I spend mine moving where I plan. You can read my silence any way you want. Build your story, fill the gaps with hate. I was already 3 miles down the road before you finished asking me to wait. I've been misread by better men than you, been called cruel by those I set free. The only explanation that I carry is the one I give to me. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reason, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's the full amount. I don't explain, the action was a word, the silence was a sentence, and the sentence has been heard. I've watched men burn their dignity out, begging rooms to understand their case, turning every exit to a courtroom, every goodbye to a public disgrace. I made my peace with being misunderstood before the world had shaped my face. Mystery is not a wall I built to hide behind, it's the ground beneath my pace. They need the story, need the why, need the chapter in the verse. I need nothing but the road ahead and whatever comes first. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reason, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's the full amount. I don't explain, the action was a word, the silence was a sentence, and the sentence has been heard. There's a power in the man who never feels the need to prove, who lets the rumors fill the room and simply continues to move, who signs no statements, makes no cases, calls no witness to his name, who understands that those who need explaining lost before they came. I've been a villain in their verse, been a ghost in their account. Let them write whatever keeps them sleeping. I don't need to mount the defense of what I did, or the reason that I went. Some truths are only visible to the man who paid the rent. My dog never asked me where I'd been, never needed the receipt. He reads the entry, not the story, feels the ground beneath my feet. That's the only kind of company a man like me requires. Someone who responds to presence, not to words dressed up as fire. So pour the glass and let them wonder, let them theorize the night. The man who never explains himself is usually the one who's right. I see only kind of company a man by me requires. Someone who responds to presence, not to words dressed up as fire. So pour the glass and let them wonder, let them theorize the night. A man who never explains himself is usually the one who's right. I don't explain, I don't defend, I don't reopen what I chose to end. You want reasons, want the full account. I hand you nothing, that's a full amount. I don't explain, the action was the word, the silence was the sentence, and the sentence held no statement, no defense, no case to make, no audience. Just a road, just a dark, just a man and his mark. Don't live by what they wrote in books, don't bow to what they preach. I built my code in the dark alone, too deep for them to reach. Not from cruelty, not from pride, but from everything I've paid. Every line I lived by, brother, was written by a blade. I broken men who broke their word, I walked from gold for less. I burned the bridge, I paid the toll, without a single breath of protest. They called it madness, called it pride, called it too much and too far. I called it the only thing I own,
the only thing that's ours. I don't need your law, I don't need your Bible or your court. I answer to a code that no man living has a right to soar. I know what I will do and what I'll never do for gain. I paid the price in full in silence every single time again. This is my law, written in the only ink that lasts. My own blood, my own word, my own path, my own path. I've sat at tables full of reasons to bend, to compromise, to fold, where smart men took the easy exit and left their honor at the door. I stayed and paid what staying cost me, didn't flinch, didn't explain. You don't get to understand my code, just know it won't be changed. Some nights the code costs everything, the deal, the sleep, the hand. But a man who sells his principles has nothing left to stand. So I poured a glass and settled in and let the quiet be enough. The only chord that matters to me sits in here, and it is tough. No applause, no witness, no one watching when I choose. The code don't care if you're winning, the code don't care if you lose. I don't need your law, I don't need your Bible or your court. I answer to a code that no man living has a right to soar. I know what I will do and what I'll never do for gain. I paid the price in full in silence every single time again. This is my law, written in the only ink that lasts. My own blood, my own word, my own path, my own path. The world will offer you 1,000 doors to walk away clean, to rewrite what happened, to unsay what you mean. I've stood at every one of those doors with the handle in my hand, and walk back to the fire every time, because that's where I stand. Not because I had to, not because they know, but because the man I am at midnight is the only man I'll show. And the only judge that frightens me lives right behind my eyes. He doesn't trade in excuses, he doesn't deal in lies. My dog never questioned what I am, never needed me explained. He just stays beside the code with me through everything we've sustained. We don't talk about what it has cost, don't count what we have lost. Some things are simply worth the wait, no matter what the cost. So light the last one, pour it slow, let the cello say the rest. The man who lives by his own code dies clean inside his chest. Not rich, not praised, not understood, but something harder to define. Intact, completely, fully, finally, every broken, faithful line. I don't need your law, I don't need your Bible or your court. I answer to a code that no man living has the right to sort. I know what I will do and what I'll never do for gain. I pay the price in full, in silence, every single time again. This is my law, written in the only ink that lasts. My own blood, my own word, my own word, my own path. No witness needed, no record kept. Send me where the fire burns the hottest, that's where I belong. Where other men are losing all their footing is where I find my song. I was not built for comfort, not assembled for the calm. I was forged inside a wreckage, and I carry every scar like a song. Send me to the chaos, that's my natural ground. I'm the only thing I'm moving when the whole world's spinning round. They fall apart in pieces, I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos, watch me come alive. Where every other man is breaking is exactly where I thrive. There's a stillness in the center of a storm you understand, a place so deep inside the danger where the noise can't reach the man. Crisis has a way of sorting every man into his rank. The ones who freeze and the ones who function, those who float and those who sink. They ask me how I hold when everything collapses. I say chaos is a language I've been speaking since the black
Send me to the chaos. That's my natural ground. I'm the only thing now moving when the whole world's spinning around. They fall apart in pieces. I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos. Watch me come alive. Where every other man is breaking is exactly where I thrive. Pressure is a filter, brother, and I welcome what it shows. The man who doesn't crack under weight is the man the table knows. I am not immune to breaking. I have broken, I have bled, but I learned to break in private and be functional instead. Some men pray the storm won't find them. I pray it comes in fair, because I know what lives inside me only wakes when things collapse. My dog feels it when I'm ready, stands a little straighter too. We don't rehearse what can't be spoken, we just move the way we do. So pour the glass without apology for who you had to be. The man who thrives inside the chaos doesn't need their sympathy. Send me to the chaos. That's my natural ground. I'm the only thing I'm moving when the whole world's spinning around. They fall apart in pieces. I fall into place. Chaos is the only mirror that reflects my real face. Send me to the chaos. Watch me come alive. Where every other man is breaking is exactly where I thrive. The storm never scared me. It called me by name. Where they saw destruction, I only saw the game. Send me. Send me. I never raised my voice a day in all my grown-up years.
But every room I've ever walked into got quiet when I appeared. I don't wear my power loud, don't carry it like a gun. It walks about 3 steps ahead of me before I've even come. I've seen big men find the exit when they saw me at the door. Not because I said a word to them, but they knew what I was for. There's a language in the stillness that the body understands, more than any threat you'll ever make, more than any reprimand. I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn, the presence does the talking since the day that I was born. They study how I hold the glass, the way I take my seat, the way I never rush a thing, the way I find my feet. Power without performance is the rarest thing alive. Most men spend their whole lives shouting just to feel like they survive. I learned it from the old ones, from the men who built in dark, who never needed an audience, who never played a part. The wolf does not announce himself before he owns a field. The most dangerous men you'll ever meet are the ones who never yield. No theater, no performance, no fire, no display. Just the weight of what I carry clears the path without a say. I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn, the presence does the talking since the day that I was born. There's a kind of man the world produces once every generation, who doesn't need a crown to be a king, doesn't need an invitation. He moves through rooms the way the tide moves through the shore, not asking for permission, not keeping any score. I've been mistaken for indifference, for coldness, for remove. But the men who know the game know exactly what I prove. that the quietest voice in any room is always the most real. The ones who never flinch don't need to tell you how they feel. I don't collect their fear like trophies, don't savor what I own. I simply move the way I move, the way I've always known. And if the room goes still around me, if the voices slowly die, it isn't something that I do, brother, it's simply who I am. My dog doesn't bark at shadows, doesn't growl without a cause. He reads the room the same way I do, with stillness, not with claws. We walk the same long corridor, we keep the same slow pace. Two creatures who don't need to prove the power in their face. So pour the whiskey without speaking, let the cello fill the dark. Some men light the room with fire, I light it with the dark. The gentleman who says the least is always heard the most, and the one who never threatens is the one they fear the most. I don't threaten, I don't warn, I just walk into the room and watch the silence being born. Every eye drops to the floor, every voice fades with the light. Some men speak to be respected, I just have to arrive. I don't threaten, I don't warn, the presence does the talking. Since the day that I was born. I was born with steady hands in a world that shakes. I never flinched at thunder, never froze at stakes. They said take your time to think it through. I said the time is now. Some men ask the question why, I just ask them how. I made decisions in the dark that I'll never speak. Chose the road that burned the most every single week. Not because I wasn't scared, oh I was, believe me son, but a man who waits too long ends up waiting till he's done. They call it reckless, I call it free. When you stop hesitating, you start to breathe. I don't hesitate, I don't deliberate, I walk into
fire with a suit and an empty plate. They say, how do you do it? I say, I don't think twice. Some men pay with caution, I pay every time with price. No hesitation, no hesitation. The man who never blinks lives 1,000 lives. I've signed papers, I regret it. Shook hands I shouldn't shake. Cut people that I loved once for the empire's sake. Every general makes his losses, every king his grace. The difference is I own mine, don't perform for praise. Pour the whiskey, kill the silence, watch the city blur. The man who never hesitates still wakes up with the hurt. But he doesn't let it linger, doesn't let it show. Just adjust the tide and back into the cold. They call it ruthless, I call it will. Some men die waiting, I'm standing still. I don't hesitate, I don't deliberate. I walk into the fire with a suit and an empty plate. They say, how do you do it? I say, I don't think twice. Some men pay with caution, I pay every time with price. No hesitation, no hesitation. The man who never blinks lives 1,000 lives. But let me tell you what they never show. Behind the curtain, behind the window glow, there are nights I questioned every move I made. Nights I sat with ghosts of every price I paid. The man who never hesitates still hurts. He just learned to bleed beneath his shirt. He still loves, he still breaks, he still falls. He just answers before anybody calls. Because waiting is a luxury for men who have the time. And time is the one thing, brother, that I can never buy. So I move before the moment passes, move before the doubt. The man who never hesitates has learned what life's about. My dog never questions where we're going, never needs a sign. Just walks beside me in the dark like he trusts the design. Maybe that's the lesson in all of this somehow. Don't wait for perfect clarity, just move and move right now. The world respects the man who steps before he's ready, whose voice is always calm, whose hands are always steady. Not because he has no fear, but because fear has no vote. He's already through the door before the fear can take his coat. I don't hesitate, I don't deliberate. I walk into the fire with a suit and an empty plate. They say, how do you do it? I say, I don't think twice. Some men pay with caution, I pay every time with price. No hesitation, no hesitation. The man who never blinks lives 1,000 lives.
hesitation, no hesitation. The cost was everything. I never learned to beg, never learned to break. I built my throne from every scar, every shadow mistake. The devil came and knocked one night, said, boy, you look like me. I poured 2 glasses, took a sip, and let the bastard speak. He said, you'll never win this war. I said, I know. I said, I know. But I'll walk straight through the fire, even if I walk alone. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can see. I carry iron in my bones and silence in my speech. Every king walks alone through the dark and through the cold. Men who fear nothing are the ones who bear it all. Another long night pours, whiskey in a cracked glass. The road outside is empty, like every prayer from my past. I don't need their applause, don't need their hollow praise. I've been burning slow and steady since my darker days. The wolves outside are howling loud. I say let them sing, let them sing. This silence is my armor, and this pain is everything. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can't see. I carry iron in my bone and silence in my speech. Every king walks alone through the dark and through the cold. Men who fear nothing are the ones who bear it all. Ruins and call them home. I kissed the ashes, stood alone. No one gave me what I built, no hand reached down through the guilt. I am the storm that moves in silence. I am the scar without defiance, the gentleman who never folds, the dark blues running through my soul. Beside the window, watch the headlights pass on by. My dog curls up beside me, underneath the cold dark sky. We don't need the world to see us, we don't need the world to know. Some men are built in silence, some men rise when no one's told. I don't scream, I don't bleed where they can't see. I carry iron in my bone and silence in my speech. Every scar of metal every night. Just keep walking.